Peru had a rest day on Friday, but surprised many watching the Copa America by finishing third in that tournament behind Uruguay and Paraguay, who they beat 2-0 in their opening World Cup qualifier. This is a team brimming with attacking talent when Vargas, Jefferson Farfan, Claudio Pizarro, the skipper, now 33, who was injured for the Copa, plus Jose Paulo Guerrero, who was top scorer in that tournament in July. Edwin Retamoso makes only his second appearance for his country. Christian Ramos was sent off in a friendly against Ecuador in March. Quick look at the substitutes. Alves Bone and Osvaldo Minda are newcomers for Ecuador, while Edison Mendes now has over 100 appearances for his country. Peru's substitutes include William Chiroque, who had an impressive Copa, and Orlando Contreras wins Player of the Year in Peru. He has been a major doubt for Peru for this fixture. So it's the altitude of Quito, 2,850 meters above sea level. Peru, with their Uruguayan coach Sergio Macarian, say that they're not going to be fazed by this. They've had plenty of time to prepare. They had a couple of friendly fixtures, warm-up games last week. They didn't have to focus on a game on Friday, which is what Ecuador had to do, losing 2-1 to Paraguay in Ascension. 4 teams qualify by right from South America. The 5th place country will go into an intercontinental playoff, a 2-leg intercontinental playoff. Brazil already qualified as the host, but it is a long qualifying process, as you might expect. Shadows just beginning to lengthen. This is the first of the fixtures being played on match day 4. So it is Ecuador who get this game underway in their yellow shirts and blue shorts, defeated by Paraguay on Friday. Means that they've played 2, 1-1, lost 1 now. Peru have an ident each of these 2 countries. Venezuela, who beat Ecuador. Then rather it was Ecuador who beat Venezuela, who were then defeated by Paraguay. Now there's a chance for Farfan. Looking here for Vargas. Comfortable take in the end for Banguera. That was a massive clearance by the Ecuadorian goalkeeper. This coach is preferring a 4-4-2 formation. Macarian, the Uruguayan, the professor as he's known, in charge of Peru, has said that he's got players who can adapt to any instruction he should pass on to them. Good work again by Roas, and by Castillo. Turn for Segundo Castillo in this fixture, having been suspended for the last fixture in World Cup qualifying. Could be awkward for Banguera, and perhaps rather unnecessarily. Ecuador here have conceded a corner kick. Vargas across to take this corner kick. Ramos has made his way forward. Reveredo, another one from the back, who can make his presence felt. Has been a rather disjointed opening. Both teams determined to end their programme of qualifying for Pizarro. Remarkably, given he started his international career 12 years ago, has featured in just 60 games for his country. Voltarayovic. The cross is a testing one. Benitez couldn't reach it. Big question marks about the fitness of Chucho Benitez. The Ecuador coach is relieved that he is fit to take his place in the starting 11, but He has been troubled by damaged knee ligaments. He has been able to train since Sunday. Guerra. Firm challenge by Erazo. Erazo seen as very much one of the new guard for Ecuador. He's complaining of some pain in his right foot after the defeat by Paraguay at the weekend. Hemayobi. It's a good attempt. He's found the target already in World Cup qualifying. He scored in that 2-0 win over Venezuela. Most impressive in a couple of friendlies that starting for the first time here. Royce. Peru have changed things a little bit with Lobaton coming into midfield. Well, there might have been a nudge, but no more. Hardly any contact. He's the coach known as the Professor, apparently one of the best paid coaches in South American football currently. Took Paraguay to the World Cup finals back in 2002. And he said they had an impossible task when he took on the job of trying to revive Peru's fortunes. Paredes. Here's Benitez. Paredes again. Ecuador certainly creating a lot more. Still awaits his first international goal. It's a newcomer to the Ecuador squad, the 24-year-old who earned his first. Pizarro. Pizarro left the ball behind. Pizarro again. Guerra! It's a beautiful take. And it was a really good chance for Peru as well. First effort by Pizarro was blocked, and then when it came back to him, he had the intelligence to pick out his teammate Paulo Guerrero. It's such a good Copa America. And he was onside, played onside by Paredes. Castillo there with Benitez. This hold-up is only adding to the anxiety in that Peruvian penalty area. Swept in by Saritama. Paredes. Voltaraiobi. Got a late goal against Paraguay on Friday. Lobaton. Pizarro. And by Farfan. He's looking for Pizarro. Well, again, he was inventive from Peru. And the confidence has been boosted, no doubt. It was a big miss for Ecuador in their last fixture. Christian Noboa because of suspension for this one. The Federation said they wanted to reduce the amount of conflict in the Peruvian game. Players threatening to go out on strike. There's a huge amount of money in the game in Peru. Also stories or allegations of wrongdoing during the presidential elections, indiscipline when the squad has gathered in the past. And that World Cup qualifier in Ecuador ahead of 2010, game that Ecuador won 5-1. Back to his feet by Saritama. Helped to put him on his knees in the first place. In by Farfan. And it was met by Guerrero. Just apologising to his teammate then. I think the lengthening shadows maybe took his eye line and meant that the ball came to him rather unexpectedly. There was a presentable chance, no doubt about it. Two really good opportunities now for... This is the Farfan free kick, which came straight through to Guerrero. He really did get his bearings all wrong then. You can see him just indicating that perhaps maybe he didn't get a clear sight. Deceived by the shadows, which are lengthening just behind the kick of Farfan, or where? Used away by Retamoso. Chucho Benitez. Fernandez was scrambling across his goal then as Castillo let fly. Certainly not the most prolific midfielder in world football. Ben's goals against Jamaica and Costa Rica, two friendly fixtures that Ecuador had. Score from Santiago Asiete, another who's playing in Spain currently. Given away by Lobaton. Saritama. Paredes. Towards Roas. Ecuador allowed to press. And Jiménez goes over. Another hefty challenge. Now Ecuador are beginning to find some width. Valencia. It's pushed by Valencia. Coach is happy to take a breather as we approach half-time. Match day 4th in South American World Cup qualifying. Another cagey encounter in Quito. Here at the other end, it needs the intervention of Asiete. That is Erazo. Somewhat baffled by the antics of our post director on that occasion. Erazo has picked up an injury. And also his right foot, which was the cause for concern before the game began. That we saw, the closer pictures that we saw, suggested it might be his left knee. Roas. Positive run by Roas. Jiménez. There's never any shortage of white shirts ahead of Raúl Fernandez. Stoppage time down at the end of the first half. The first half littered with interruptions. In the opening fixture to Antonio Valencia, perhaps wasn't 100% fit anyway, having been third while on duty for Manchester United, hurt in the Champions League final against Barcelona and missed a big chunk of the last Premier League season in England. Roas. Castilla. 4 forward here for Peru. They could well catch Ecuador on the counter at the end of the first half. Vargas, as usual, to give them a little bit of width, but no sparkle on this occasion. And it has been a first half which has lacked any real sparkle. Peru's coach Sergio Macaria will be the happier perhaps of the two coaches who are prowling the touchline. Very good attempt for Paulo Guerrero in that first half. Turn and twist on the edge of the penalty area, which produced a shot that wasn't too far away. Ecuador not helped by the fact that they've had to replace Erickson Erazo, highlighted there. Didn't appear to be any contact whatsoever, but you can see the distress in his face. Erazo wasn't major down for Ecuador beforehand, forced off injured. It's meant an adjustment at the back. Quito at half-time in this South American World Cup qualifier. It is Ecuador 0, Peru 0. So here in Quito, the second half between Ecuador and Peru is about to get underway, and a further change by Ecuador, forced into making a substitution in the first half. Erickson Erazo off injured to be replaced by Eduardo Morante. Now a further change. João Roas, who scored in their 2-1 defeat by Paraguay, is off. His position in midfield has gone to the most experienced of the current squad. It is Edison Mendes. So a change by Ecuador at the start of the second half. They've gone for experience here. Edison Mendes, who's now back in South America after a long and distinguished career in Europe. His 104th appearance for his country in place of João Roas. As he got the guile and the wherewithal to be able to break down a very resolute Peruvian defence. Peru were strugglers in World Cup qualifying for 2010, showed the resolve at the Copa America, done so again in this fixture. Caught out a little bit in their last game in Chile where they lost 4-2. They were 2 down very quickly. A little bit defending by Asiete there. And Jaime Ayobe. Peru perhaps having the better opportunities in the opening 45 minutes, particularly the swift turn on the edge of the area by Paulo Guerrero, and the shot that flew just wide. Forward by Vilches. Here's Vargas. Delightful skill again by Juan Vargas. Away first by Asiete and then Reveredo. Retemosa, one of the newcomers in the Peruvian squad. Jaime Ayobe. Mendes losing out to Fafa. Walter Ayobe. Eased on again by Saritama. Paredes. Ignoring the cries of Valencia. Will be a corner this to Ecuador. Saritama. Pushed in the back by Farfan. Morantes made his way forward, joined by Castilla, in by Mendes. Oh, missed by the goalkeeper Fernandez. That was a real let-off for Peru. That illustrates the effects of the altitude of Quito. So much drift on that Mendes free kick, and Fernandez fully stretched. Suggesting the goalkeeper that he took a rather painful blow, but if anything it was Benitez who was under most threat. What can Ecuador do here? Corner after corner. Castillo and Benitez wait. Delivery is excellent again from Mendes. Peru missed the experience of Claudio Pizarro during the Copa America. Forced out injured, he was dismayed not to be part of the Peruvian squad, a squad that did so well, but he was in Argentina for the tournament to offer some guidance and advice. A couple of years back he was the top scorer in the Europa League. Senior international debut way back in 1999. Paredes has got away from Vilches. Valencia. Paredes able to take advantage of Valencia's pass, coming back from an offside position. The bottom of their group B, behind Brazil, Venezuela and Paraguay. Won by Jaime Ayovi. Mendes. Farfan. Looking accusingly at his marker. There's who managed to knock Lugar off his feet. He's had several successful years in Germany, most recently with Hamburg. Castilla. Volterayova. Castilla. Mendes. Outdone by Benitez. Up the way as far as Saritama. Castilla. It's a lovely turn by Chucho Benitez. Whistle has gone. It will be a free kick here, and it will be another yellow card. They're all trying to clip away at Benitez's ankles then. Take a pick. Reveredo was one of those who managed to get a foot in. Revereda was the first to dive in. Chicho Benitez indicating that the referee should do his job properly and produce a yellow card, which he did for Renzo Revereda. Fernandez organising his defensive war. They will favour the left foot of Walter Ayobi. Edison Mendes is another who might be prepared to take this on. Fernandez, the Peruvian goalkeeper, has plenty of protection. The wall has stood firm. Paredes. Valencia able to get beyond Ramos. Paredes. Valencia. In by Paredes. Helped on again by Castilla. Walter Ayobi. Sense that Ecuador trying to make the most of their fitness, the ability that they have at altitude. Could be a desperate rearguard action now from Peru. Ronaldo Rueda, the Colombian in charge of Ecuador, really had to rewrite the script after the Copa America. It was such a disappointing tournament. Insisted that Ecuador had, or there might be something on here. Wouldn't have mattered anyway because Benitez was offside. Cristiano Chucho Benitez, as he's known. Still, it's a struggle for Ecuador to create any clear-cut openings. Never much doubt that Benitez was in an offside position. One of the easiest calls for the Uruguay drawn here. Moving rather gingerly at the moment. It would be a straight swap that. Ecuador have the free kick. Paredes eager to get back on his feet and to get Ecuador moving again, but they've been halted by the referee, who is seeing that Peru do now want to make that change. Shows the irritation, frustration of Ecuador at the moment. It's Pizarro's being withdrawn. It would suggest that Farfan will be pushed further forward, or maybe they will just leave Lugar up there on his own. Chiraque as the skipper's replacement. Chiraque scored against Venezuela, the third place game that Peru won 4-1. His first championship in Peru 6 years ago. Oh, it's a free header. Well, that was a chance. Ayobi was the last in the line then. Again, it was a free kick which so nearly opened up the Peru defence. So Fernandez, the goalkeeper, struggling to deal with one from Mendes earlier in the second half. Ayobi arriving late, simply to produce a meaningful test for Fernandez, the Peruvian goalkeeper. Paredes. Motomoso is penalised. What can Ecuador produce with this free kick? In by Walter Ayovi. He went for goal and couldn't find it. He's got a couple of goals in the 5-1 win over Peru in World Cup qualifying for 2010. This is a very different Peruvian squad, far more disciplined and organised. Vilches searching out Lugar. They missed out on the World Cup in 2010 after reaching the last 16 in Germany. Big problem for the man in charge since the middle of last year. Ronaldo Rueda has been out to replace some of the more experienced performers, some of the familiar names of Ecuadorian football at international level over the years. Benitez, it's a marvellous run this by Benitez. He's set up Mendes and Ecuador have gone in front. Well, they gambled on the fitness of Chucho Benitez, but his pace and power took him on then, and he was able to pick out Edison Mendes, who off the inside of a post has put Ecuador in front. They must have despaired of making the breakthrough. But the substitute Edison Mendes has delivered, as he has done on so many occasions for his country over the years. Fantastic run by Benitez, who simply couldn't get anywhere near it. It was Benitez who was able to set up Mendes with a first time finish, real precision. Just look at the way he holds off the challenge of Retomoso. Man asked questions of Fernandez, the goalkeeper, but he struck it first time, Mendes. And Ecuador have struck first as well. They lead by a goal to nil. Whose name is written large in Ecuadorian footballing history. He scored the winner against Croatia, Ecuador's first ever finals win back in 2006. As I mentioned earlier, he quit the international scene back in 2008, but was persuaded to return by the Federation president. He's appeared as a substitute in the second half here. His goal gives Ecuador the advantage. Suddenly the mood has changed. The coach has spoken about the need to win their home games, given the advantage that they perhaps have at altitude in Quito. His initial squad for the opening fixture against Venezuela included 13 players who are based in the capital. From LDU Quito, Deportivo Quito, Nacional, another of the Quito teams. Looking for Benitez this time. Fantastic acceleration by Chucho Benitez, and look to the left of your picture, the unchecked run of Edison Mendes. Mendes didn't have the post covered. How much of a gap was there for Mendes? This will give us a better look. There wasn't much to aim at. who won the first phase of the domestic league. Will be coming on shortly. One of those who made the squad for the Copa America. Chiroque. Lively work by Chiroque. It's a marvellous run, this. Impressive defending by Morante. Well, Chiroque is set up there by Guerrero. Stung the Ecuador backline into important action. It was a great turn to take him away from Paredes, but Morante was swiftly across to make the challenge. It was a challenge in that position he simply had to get right. Asiete's gone forward. In by Vargas. Thanks to the altitude playing their part yet again. Has largely been quiet. Juan Vargas on the left-hand side for Peru. Ecuador came so close to qualifying for South Africa. They finished with 23 points, one less than Uruguay. And by Valencia. Met by Benitez, who actually headed the ball away from goal. Benitez again. Well, there might be some attention now for Raul Fernandez, who was really clattered by Chucho Benitez as they challenged for Valencia's cross. He was onside, he got him behind Asiete. He may have just taken his eye off the ball, aware of the goalkeeper's presence over his left shoulder. Looked at that angle, you suggest that Benitez would have come off second best. Away by Jaime Ayovi. Vargas. Rueda, the coach. Mendes. Paredes. Vargas. Valencia. Ramos with the challenge. Revereda. Now, Edison Mendes. A number of goals in World Cup qualifying over the years. 4 ahead of the tournament in South Africa. 5 ahead of Ecuador's qualification for Germany in 2006. Paredes, who's gone down here, having been challenged by Vargas. He just had his left ankle clipped. And the man who's now wearing the captain's armband for Peru. Chiroque came so close to getting an equaliser for Peru. Jaime Ayovi. Oh, it's been given away. Ramos alert. Advincula. Now Vargas. Reveredo. Chorotto bundled over by Mendes. Falling out with Felipe Caicedo as well, just ahead of the copper. Guerrero claiming that he was pushed over by Campos. Jaime Ayobe. Benitez in support. It's Jaime Ayobe. Benitez! Chucho Benitez has made it 2 now for Ecuador. There's no way back for Peru. They gambled on the fitness of Chucho Benitez. Only started training again on Sunday after damaging right knee ligaments. But he scored in the 2-0 win against Venezuela at the start of October, and he scored now against Peru to establish a 2-goal lead after some fine work by Jaime Ayobe. Benitez, who set up Ecuador's first goal, claims their second. Splendid finish by Chucho Benitez. He's now 1 appearance short of his half-century for Ecuador, and he's managed 21 goals. It's a really good goal-scoring return. His goals for El Nacional ahead of World Cup qualifying in 2006 led to the international call. Is Jaime Ayobe. And Edison Mendes can't claim his second goal and Ecuador's third. Stoppage time at the end of the second half. At times it's been a real struggle for Ecuador. But we're going to the South American international break. And that they've got 6 points from their 3 games. Top 4 will qualify automatically at the end of the qualification process. And whoever finishes 5th will go into an intercontinental playoff, 2-legged playoff. Second half goals proving enough. As we get a chance to see the second goal, Ecuador know now that they can celebrate. But 1 or 2 of the Peruvian players are being dragged away by their coach, Sergio Macarian. Jefferson Farfan, who had been substituted, suddenly finds himself on the pitch. A dramatic conclusion to the game in Quito. It was a dramatic second half. Ecuador struggled to make any impression, but they brought on Edison Mendes, who put them in front. And they were rewarded with a second goal late on from Chucho Benitez. It means that after their defeat against Paraguay on Friday evening, Ecuador emerge with 3 points from this home encounter against Peru in Quito, with players from both teams being ushered away by the respective coaches. Peru, as you can see, just on their way down the extended tunnel away